Hi, my name is Ashni, and in this situation analysis presentation, my situation is how to deal with a troublemaking swimmer. While this may not seem like a big deal, trust me when I say it is. For all those swimming instructors out there, I know how you feel. So watch this video to get some tips. Always remember, communication is a lifesaver for a misbehaving swimmer. By using this technique, it can save time, energy, and overall experience of the swimming class for me and the swimmer. Not to mention, having angry parents isn't the best, especially if they sign up for their lessons again, and I would have to see them again. That's not pleasant. Before I begin, I would like to go through some background information to fully understand the content of this presentation. I am a swimming instructor. I teach people of all ages, ranging from preschool levels all the way up to level 10, but I mostly teach kids. The deck supervisor. The deck supervisor is the person who organizes all of the classes, assesses the students, and handles the parents. He also happens to be my boss. There are around 5 kids per class. While the number may seem small, it is exhausting keeping an eye on each and every kid to make sure they are within my reach and are standing where I can see them. As a swimming instructor, it is my job to teach the kids how to swim based on their swimming level. I report the child's progression to parents and my deck supervisor based on every single swimming class, not their behavioral issues, since they are here to swim and only here to swim. So, what is my problem? A student in my class is not listening to any of my instructions. They constantly splash me and the other students, despite me repeatedly telling them to stop. Swimming in other lanes, going ahead and swimming when they're not supposed to, are all the other things they are continuing to do. While all of this is happening, there are still 4 other swimmers in the class who are patiently waiting for me to begin lessons. When encountering this kind of situation, there are 2 ways to go about this. The first one is to communicate with the student, but also keeping in mind some tips when I am communicating with them. The first one being, be gentle but firm. I have to remember that these are kids and that they are here to swim, which is a big deal for new swimmers. By being gentle, I am also avoiding the situation when they cry. Having a crying swimmer is not the best. It is simply exhausting and it is a hassle to get them to stop crying. The next thing, do not yell at the swimmer. I do not have the right to yell at them. I am not their parent, just the instructor. Again, I have to be gentle. I would also tell them of the consequences. I would remind them that if they keep doing this, they will be asked to leave and can no longer join the swimming classes. It is very important to communicate properly in order to get my message across the most effective way possible. Remember, communication is the lifesaver for a misbehaving student. The other option is to tell my deck supervisor. Let my deck supervisor know the situation. I would tell him that I am trying to teach a class of level 3 swimmers, but one of them is not listening to anything I'm saying and continues to misbehave during the class. I would explain what the student is doing. I would have to be very specific as to what they're doing. I would say that they are splashing me and the rest of the swimmers, as well as swimming without my permission. The deck supervisor will then ask the parent about it. The deck supervisor will then handle the situation from here on out, and I no longer have to deal with this anymore. Again, it is important that I be very, very clear in the situation so that the deck supervisors knows exactly what is going on when they speak to the parents. Communication is the lifesaver for a misbehaving swimmer. For me, in this situation, I handled it by speaking to the student myself. I reminded the student that unless they don't want their parents to be involved, they need to stop and listen to me. I also said that there will be no playing time in the water if they continue to misbehave. This method proved to work. Communication is the lifesaver for a misbehaving swimmer. I am experienced enough to handle it on my own. However, there have been times when the supervisor has had to get involved. For example, there has been a time when one of my swimmers from a class would not get into the pool and rather ran around the entire pool deck. That was not a fun time at all. Usually, involving a deck supervisor would be for newly experienced swimming instructors who have not dealt with this kind of situation before. The cost-benefit analysis. The cost would be to hire more deck supervisors. If they are talking to a parent, there needs to be someone who is on the deck to deal with other matters, like a swimming instructor. For example, an instructor would need a deck supervisor to assess a swimmer. Since classes are only 30 minutes long, the deck supervisor would need to assess them in the beginning of the class so that the instructor knows exactly which level to teach and can teach them for the remainder of the class. However, the deck supervisor cannot assess them and speak to the parent at the same time. Thus, there would need to be 2 deck supervisors on deck at all times. Deck supervisors get paid around $20 per hour, which would mean $960 per session. The company would now have to spend more money on deck supervisors. The benefit in this situation was that parents would need to sign up for lessons for their child again, since there was so much lost time from the misbehaviors. This would mean more profit for the company since they're providing lessons again. It is $230 per session, approximately $20 per class. And finally, for some recommendations for the future, set some ground rules. I would do this in the first class so that the students know exactly who and what they're dealing with. I would also let them know how firm I can be. This lowers the chances of the student causing any trouble. I am a fun instructor. I love to make the classes fun by playing lots of games and activities and just to make sure that the swimmers are comfortable in the water. I do not want to be firm, but I have to let them know to make sure the students are listening to me. They're under my protection. Water is very dangerous. Communication is the lifesaver for a misbehaving swimmer. Also, avoid getting the deck supervisor involved. Getting the deck supervisor involved would be asking for unnecessary trouble. We would want to try to keep this as peaceful as possible by letting the instructor handle it themselves. At the end of the day, the goal is to try to teach the swimmer how to swim based on their level and to get them to pass their level so that they can move up. There have been many incidents when swimmers do not listen to the instructors and in fact take advantage of them when they're being really nice. So, in order to deal with this and to try to avoid this, always remember that communication is the lifesaver for a misbehaving swimmer.